My name is Joe Bartolomeo. I am a Social Security disability attorney. I have offices in Astoria, Oregon and Hillsboro, Oregon. I represent claimants in front of the Social Security Administration Office of Hearings Operations in Portland mostly. I have had other hearings throughout the Northwest, but I usually work out of the Portland Hearings Office. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about a topic that I didn't know was so popular, but when I looked at my website, I could see that a lot of people were interested in learning about the Social Security remand or the remand hearing. So in this video, I'm going to explain what a remand hearing is, how they come about to be a remand hearing, and some of the observations I've made in representing folks who have gone through a remand hearing. So let's start out by, well, I always like to start at the beginning. So in a typical Social Security case that I work on, the client will show up with a denial in hand, and that could be the initial denial. And when it's the initial denial, we appeal by requesting reconsideration. And then other people show up and the reconsideration has been denied. And in that case, the appeal that we file is a request for hearing. The next event is the actual hearing. And what happens at the Social Security disability hearing is we provide exhibits before the hearing, and we have our client and perhaps family members, depending on the case, we will have testimony. We will provide testimony. And the judge takes that testimony, experts testify, and then the judge makes a decision. And when I say decision, I mean decision with a capital D. It's a written decision. Now, if we get an unfavorable decision, that means we did not prove, according to the judge, we did not prove disability, so we appeal to the Appeals Council. The Appeals Council is an office in Falls Church, Virginia, that covers the whole United States for appeals from disability hearings. And if you win at the Appeals Council, it could look different. There are a couple of different ways that you can win. One, which I don't see often, if not, I actually almost never. One way that you win is the Appeals Council will look at all of the evidence and say, you know what? We think you're disabled. We're going to grant your application for benefits. I've seen that one time. I'm sure it happens, but I've only seen it once. More typically, if you do well at the Appeals Council, it means that the Appeals Council found a mistake that the administrative law judge made when looking at your case at the hearings level. And they remand the case to fix the mistake. And we call that a remand. And remand just means it's getting sent back for another hearing. So it's kind of like you did this wrong, you made a mistake, here's where you made your mistake, we're sending it back, and we're going to tell you in the remand order what you need to do to fix the mistake that you made. So that's a remand. Now, a remand could also come from a federal court judge. So let's take our Appeals Council appeal and go in a different direction. So we go to hearing, we get an unfavorable decision, we go to the Appeals Council, they say, we're not reviewing this, we don't think the judge made any mistakes. So then you can appeal up to federal court. Now, if you go to federal court, it could be either by agreement with the U.S. attorney who's handling the case, or by order of a federal court judge or magistrate, the case may be remanded back to the hearings level for another hearing. And it'll trickle back down to the hearings judge, and there will be a remand order, again, issued by the Appeals Council, telling that judge what mistakes they made and how they can fix it. So that's what a remand is. And what you almost always see is that the remand order is going to kind of, focus in on a real specific area where the mistake was made. Now, the different kinds of remand orders that I see involve evaluation of medical opinions. And that's kind of a hot topic these days, at least in my part of the country, in the courts of appeal, the federal courts of appeal. There's case law that talks about how medical opinions are evaluated. And then the Social Security Administration has fairly recent rules that have changed how judges evaluate medical opinions. That's a real common issue that is subject to remand orders. So you'll see something in a remand order that says, please reevaluate Dr. Smith's opinion, or the administrative law judge did not provide sufficient reasoning as to why they rejected Dr. Smith's opinion. Please consider it in this way. And then they might cite some policies or rules that help the judge and guide the judge on how to reevaluate that part of the case. Another issue you may see is the judge was told that they didn't properly evaluate the witness testimony. Now, that could include my client's testimony, the claimant's testimony, and the claimant is the person seeking disability. It could include a statement that was made by a friend or relative in a written form. But once in a while, you'll see the appeals counsel tell the judge that they did not properly evaluate the witness statement or witness testimony, and they are ordered to reevaluate that according to the appropriate rules and policies. Once in a while, you'll see the appeals counsel say that the judge's finding was erroneous. And erroneous is a word that I only use while I'm at work. I don't use that word at the dinner table or anything like that. But erroneous means that there's no factual basis for that finding. And it could just be a mistake that the judge makes, an innocent mistake. Not like they're intending to mislead anybody, but they may make a factual finding, and it may be based on a misunderstanding of what's in the evidence. And so we call that an erroneous finding. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So those are examples of what happens with a remand order. Now, the one thing that my clients sometimes moan and groan about, and I think maybe rightfully so, is, and it depends, is the same judge who was ordered to rehear the case, or let me say it this way, the same judge is going to hear your case on remand. And so if if you're in front of Judge Smith and you go up on appeal and you say, Judge Smith made this mistake and Judge Smith made that mistake and Judge Smith didn't look at this or that, and the appeals counsel or the federal court judge agrees with you, guess who gets to fix that mistake? Judge Smith. So you're going back to the same judge that you went in front of the very first time. Now, there are limits on how many times that judge can look at the case, but if you get a remand initially, you will go back to that same judge unless the appeals counsel or the federal court orders otherwise. Sometimes it might be a situation where the judge who originally heard your case is retired or they've gone to a different hearings office, but you're going to be in front of the same judge. Now, I think that most of the judges that I've worked with or appeared in front of, they will look earnestly at the remand order and they'll do their best to correct that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to find you disabled. Some judges will still maintain that they don't feel you're disabled, and they'll make another attempt to better explain the reasoning in terms of why they feel you're not disabled. I've seen other judges just flat out apologize to my client at the hearing and grant the disability application. So, it really varies, and obviously it depends on the facts of the case in front of that judge. But it is not uncommon for a judge to find you disabled on the remand hearing, and guess what? You get to go back up, all the way up through those different levels of appeal again, and I've seen that happen more than once, and make your arguments again. So the remand order is not an automatic. You're not going to get disability automatically on a remand hearing, but you're probably in a better position to do so. So that's a summary. Those are a few of my thoughts on remand hearings. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have other questions, I have a free downloadable ebook, the Social Security Disability Guide. I will leave that in the link on my YouTube video down below. And at my website, or on my website, it's up here under free offers, and then you can find your way to the Social Security Disability Guide. Also, I will leave my contact link down below. And if you're looking at this on my website, it's up here somewhere. And you can get a hold of us. And if you have a question, just throw it out there and we'll do our best to help you out. If we can't represent you or take on your case, we will give you some resources. We do that all the time, so don't hesitate to get in touch. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.